Serbia won, Hungary 2 in Euro qualifiers from today. Serbia had the lead at 1-0, ended up losing 2-1. Hungary scored two quick goals in quick succession, something like 3 or 4 minutes that they scored the two goals in. Three goals scored in this match. Honestly, all of them were pretty damn ugly. Um, if we start at the starting lineups, I think two big surprises I think were Belkovic starting in the back line and Radonic starting on the right wing. I think those are the two I think two changes that Stojkovic made that a lot of people maybe have gone with different players. I think most people would have gone with Živkovic on one wing and Kostic on the other, and then Milenkovic as a center back. I criticized the Veljkovic move, although I think he was one of the better players today. I have to admit that the three back system for me still doesn't work. I, I think out of the three center backs, none of them apart from Pavlovic seem very confident with the ball in their feet. And I think that's a big issue because there's times where the opposition is going to back off the center backs and let the center backs start to build up, or start the build up from the offensive end, and none of those guys are really that comfortable with the ball at their feet. Stakinja Rakovic at some point has to get a chance to play. I think having played a right back role with Red Star has given him the opportunity to kind of handle the ball a little bit more or to start plays, and he has speed as well, which is something that the other three center backs don't really have, apart from, again, Stakinja Pavlovic. Um, like I said, the first goal was excellent pass from Sergei Milinkovic-Savic, who I thought was probably the best player today, and I'm very critical of Sergei. I like him as a player, but I'm very critical of him because I expect big things from him, and the good matches that he's had for the national team have been far and few between, in my opinion, especially in the last year. Just far and few between. Goes missing. A lot of time he's played out of position, which I'll even cut him slack when it comes to that. I probably shouldn't because he's still a very good player, so he should be able to adapt and adjust to different positions. It's not like he's playing as a right back. He's playing, from a central midfielder, he goes to an attacking midfield position. You have to be able to adjust to things like that, and he hasn't done that for the national team. I thought he was really good today. His pass led to the goal where Dusan Tadic squared it to Vlahovic, whose shot was either going off target or was going right in the goalkeeper's hands. Salazai slid in and it was an own goal. And then quickly after that, or about 20 minutes after that, I think we scored in the 10th minute, and Hungary had their goals in the 33rd, and I want to say 35th or 36th. Same type of thing. Defense is kind of all over the place. The first shot is saved by Vanja Milinkovic-Savic, goes back to the player who originally shot the ball, and it looked like he had another go at goal, but it ended up going to the striker who was to the left of him, and he ended up scoring. It was just a very weird goal. The second goal off a corner kick where Vanja Milinkovic-Savic reacted poorly, tried to box the ball, kind of missed it and kind of got it, and then as the opposition's player was about to take a swipe at the ball, he kind of dove for it and batted it out, and it was crossed in again, and you know the player who was there, I forget who it was. I think it was Orban who actually scored the goal. I thought Orban was really good today for Hungary. He just kind of slotted in on the far post. Now the interesting thing with that goal is it wasn't the two center backs marking closest to Vanja Milinkovic-Savic. It's actually Sergei Milinkovic-Savic and Mitrovic, who were the closest to Orban, if I'm not mistaken. And he had no issues with slotting it away. I think the second half, we had a lot of chances. So at halftime, Kostic and Radonic went off. Mladenovic and Živkovic came on, and they brought a little bit more energy, I think, to the starting lineup. They had some poor plays, but they had a lot of very good plays. And Živkovic especially, I'm going to kind of single out here. I thought he was really good when he came on in the second half. Changed the game a little bit. Just the ball wasn't going in net. The goalkeeper, I'll tip the hat to the Hungarian goalkeeper, Didus, I think, or something like that is his name. I hope I didn't pronounce that wrong. Outstanding stop on Vlahovic from really close range, where his reflexes. I mean, just an outstanding stop. His close post really got his hand up really quickly, and that ended up batting away Vlahovic's chance. And then Vlahovic had another chance shortly after that where he completely missed the net on a header. that hit the side of netting, which you have to do better. Uh, I'm not a huge. I'm a fan of Vlahovic. I'm not his biggest fan, but I am a fan to some extent. I don't really worry about him going through dry spells because I think he's too good of a striker to really go through dry spells of 4 or 5 matches for the national team where he doesn't score goals. I think his work rate will pay off at some point. Um, and I just think he's a really good player. He's a strong player. He can hold up the ball. I think the only question is, does he really work with Mitrovic? And that's the big question. And judging by today, it's tough to see. And I understand that they've had some matches where they've been really good up top, but it's like a mixed bag. Sometimes it's really good. It's either really good or really bad. It feels like there's no in between with the two guys when they play together, and it's hard to keep one guy out of the starting lineup, right? Like Mitrovic is goal scoring ability for the national team and just for club level as well is just out of this world. Scoring goals already in Saudi Arabia, which I hated the move. A lot of people do. Same with Sergej Milinkovic-Savic. And Vlahovic has had a little bit of a tough time at Juventus the last year or so. But like I said, I really believe in his abilities, and he's a strong, powerful center forward who I think, even if he works really hard, it's going to pay off at some point. Um, and he'll start scoring goals again. And I think that's important that we get either guy on track or both guys on track. I thought Tadic was one of the worst players today. He really seems to be losing his mojo a little bit. Ever since the World Cup, I think he's kind of faltered a little bit for the national team. And I understand he's getting up there in age. He plays pretty much every minute when he was at Ajax, and now he's asked to do the same thing when he's at Fenerbahce. So, um, he's getting up there in age. Like I said, this is where we're going to need when the guys come off the bench, you're going to need to make a difference. Even Ilic didn't really make a difference when he came on. Jovic didn't really get too many chances with the ball either. Um, it's just later on. I think another turning point was when Milankovic came on as well, because we went with like a four at the back system, which I think suits us better. Three at the back hasn't worked for us. It really hasn't for the last year or so. So I think that's something that we're going to need to move on. I've always said my last resort for playing four at the back is I would literally have two guys from the national team and I would try to develop them right now as a left and a right back. I just think that this is the only way around this. Three at the back, three center backs doesn't work for us. And if one of those guys has to be where we play, Živkovic at left back, then so be it. But we looked like a different team when we played four at the back. Um, Created a lot more chances, opportunities. Uh, Hungary still tried to catch us on the counter, and it's interesting. It feels like Hungary had 3 or 4 chances to just get past half in the second half, and felt like they created 2 or 3 chances right away. And we're just not that great as a back line. Vanya Milinkovic-Savic, I think he, apart from that one really good stop that he had in the first half, he's hit a bit over the wall too. His distribution at points in the game were not very good. Um, George Petrovic just moved to Chelsea. I understand he's not a first goalkeeper there either, but Rajkovic is there as well. We'll see what happens with that situation. I still think Vanya is an incredible goalkeeper. I think just a situation that we might want to monitor as the season goes along, or as the national team goes along, I should say. Because I don't think when you have 2 or 3 really good goalkeepers, I don't think anyone's job is really safe, so to say. So we'll see what happens with that situation as well. I fully expect Vanya Milinkovic-Savic to play against Lithuania, but Pixie does like to rotate the lineup a little bit, and that's honestly one of the things I do like about him. It's really hard guessing the starting 11 that he's going to go with because he makes a lot of adjustments, and I like that. It's the unpredictability that kind of, I get that it didn't work in today's match, but the unpredictability, and it keeps the opposition's coach guessing, and now he has to change his tactics. I do kind of like that, but we went with our most offensive lineup, and the first half was really bad. We really had issues linking up 2 or 3 passes, scoring opportunities, something that we really have to get going when we have that many attacking players on the pitch, right? Vlahovic, Mitrovic, Tadic, Radonic, Sergey. Maksimovic was pretty much the only defensive midfielder that we had, and I actually thought that he played pretty damn well today, although a lot of people seem to be giving him stick, but I didn't think it was that bad at all. He had 2 or 3 passes in the first half that didn't work out, and that have to be better because it creates chances for the opposition. So he has to do better in those. But in terms of like his energy, and he's always running and always trying to chase down players, it just feels like Hungary went from defending to attacking us really quickly, and we just had no real answer for that. And that again goes with having one defensive midfielder. um, in that lineup. And I like what Pixie did, fight fire with fire. It didn't work out this time. It's like he said, it's not the end of the world that we lost, but that Lithuania match on Sunday is very important for us. We barely got out of Bulgaria in the last match day with a 1-1 draw. We scored in pretty much the last kick of the match, Darko Lazovic. There's a lot to work on. I don't want to say I don't love where the national team is going in terms of our results. It has to get a lot better, and I think it's time that we start giving um, some other players opportunities, especially in that midfield area. I think guys like Racic and Ilic and Samadjic have to do something when they come on the pitch. If they come on the pitch, you have to make a difference, and you have to show the coach that you're ready to go when your number is called and when you're thrown into the match. So yeah, overall, a fairly bad first half and a decent second half, but in the derby, you have to win the match. And also feels like empty stadium today. Empty stadium. There's kids under 14 that were at the match, so you don't really play behind closed doors anymore. But it feels like every important match that we play is behind closed doors, and like that's something that's got to change with how we do and the stuff during matches. And if this was a full house, it could have been a different story. It could have been a different result. Maybe we could have at least got a tie, but we have to change some things, and we have to be careful with some of the stuff that we do. So yeah, in the comments below, let me know what you thought about the match, who your standout player was. For me, it was, like I said, it was Sergei Milinkovic-Savic. I thought Velikovic was pretty damn good as well for a guy who hasn't played much for the national team. So let me know below what you think. Is the national team in trouble? What do you think is going to happen against Lithuania? Would love to know. I'll try to reply to as many comments as I can. Take care.